getting a bigger correction. And again, I haven't moved this price path that you're seeing behind me. It is simply, it's been there for 8 days. And yeah, the last stream I was actually started off also just kind of marveled at how it's following it, and it's still happening. And so what I'm going to do in this stream for you is let you know there are some ways that this altcoin season can get really messed up. But I also have really, really good news for you if you are a fan of altcoins and you expect bigger things out of altcoins. I have fantastic news for you. I'll probably share a few minutes in, and I got to build up to that, why it will make sense, why altcoin season could be fairly fantastic this time around. However, if you weren't ready for this drop, then this is bad news. But titles of my last 2 streams were, crash or dump, and both of them expecting a nice move down that we've started getting today. So, with no further ado, let's take a look at Bitcoin on a different chart here. This is what I call my origin line chart. And I shared with my private community today why I think 85K, specifically between these dates, I think that would be my best guess as of now if I could only make one single guess. Usually, the way I like to roll here in the Cosasverdes studio is I like to show you 2 to 3 price paths and let you know which one or ones I believe are most probable among those 3 in order and why. However, I was trying to be more fun today and make a, just the out of an ordinary type of move for me, making one specific guess. So middle of January through February 1st, 85K. However, there are very, very good reasons why this target is not low enough. And then I'm going to get to the good news about altcoins and altcoin season. So 85K might not be low enough of a target, because if you look at this on a weekly scale, that is a very aggressive higher low. Weekly high, weekly low, high, low, high, low, high, low. That is a very aggressive angle. Usually higher lows happen at not so aggressive angles. I mean, perhaps like this. And so when you make this type of pattern and you have something on the left-hand side, what I call a look left horizontal, it has the habit of telling you the rough timing on when this will happen. So this might not be true on this one. I hope this doesn't make me a liar, but this usually works. So look left where it crosses. That would give you the rough timing. So roughly like that. And then look at that. It's about the same angle. It's about the same angle that I already have drawn. And it's not at a coincidence. It's just usually how this works. 70K, 69. So a small wick past there. 69 to 73 area. About a 4K range is what this is suggesting. Would be a more natural weekly higher low. And that is bullish. If you go from a downtrend to blasting through all these highs, 1 high, 2 high, 3 high, 4 highs, you need to make a higher low before you keep going usually. And one reason why this lower target makes sense than and I could show you why I got to this specific guess. So you can use these tools on your altcoins. So the way I came up with 85K between these dates of mid-January to February 1st is something that you're going to want to use on your altcoins. But before I show you how I came to that and why it's so important to use that methodology on altcoins in a bull market, I will show you why there's very good news about potential altcoin season. For the potential of altcoin season. How much potential does altcoin season have left? But Another reason why slightly lower makes sense, lower than my 85 makes sense, is because the CME chart, where actually more money is slung as of now on the future than spot. CME has had more volume than all of spot. So this is where the big boys come to play. I will go to the daily chart. So this would be on track to be at 200K by the end of the year. That's what this price path was. So now it's no longer on track to be 200K by the end, by literally the end of December. So I'll get rid of, I'll get rid of this. This gap here. If it comes down to fill it, 77. So going back to this other chart here, where is 77 here? If that were to happen. So between my targets. So most things are pointing that this correction will go somewhere between 70 and 85. This is a big zone. Don't get all worried about my cat jumping on me. Don't get all worried about this. This is not a big deal. Because this goes to the 4-year cycle here. And this is for another day. Another day, another dollar. How did I come up? Or the good news for altcoins. Is going to be seen by looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is huge, what I'm about ready to show you. That sounded weird. Imagine you just jumped on my channel for the first time during this live stream, and the first thing you ever hear me say was, what I'm about to show you is huge. All right. But this is massive and not passive. Sometimes it's massive and passive, but this is like massive and aggressive. That's not 2017. This is. All right. That's 2016. That's 2017. Okay. This is Bitcoin dominance chart. When you look at this chart, what I want you to do first is think about, can I see where the bull markets obviously started, or an altcoin season specifically, not just the bull market, because Bitcoin historically has begun and led all bull markets. It did yet again, this time with a strong 4x. Like that was quite impressive. It's even stronger than a 4x. But when does altcoin season start? So just look at this chart. It should be obvious. Where do you think? Altcoin season started here. And altcoin season started here. Shoom! Where it goes from the top of this triangle to the bottom of this triangle. That is altcoin season. Okay, so where is it now? It is still above where it has never been. It is above where it has never been. So this is saying one of two things. It actually could be bad news. But I think it's going to be very good news for altcoins in general. And how much ROI altcoins have left in them. So it had never been above this line. It's above where it's never been. Even though that's not a correct phrase, but it sounds fun. So that means either we're not going to get much of an altcoin season at all, which would explain this, or it means it hasn't even freaking started yet, which I think is more likely. and that is why I'm here. Like that's why I'm in crypto for altcoin season for the most part. I use altcoins in order to get more Bitcoin. That is the whole goal, and that should be yours too. That is not financial advice. That is facts. This is a big deal. I mean, just take a look at this. Altcoin season starts when it falls from the top to the bottom. That is a bull market. That is a bull market. It's above the top. However, it does have less to go. But Bitcoin is technically a little stronger. So that just means altcoins don't quite outpace it quite as much as last time. So altcoins rose faster than Bitcoin at a much faster pace than what they would this time to a larger degree. But if Bitcoin's also going up with them, that still means it hasn't even begun yet. They just won't go up quite as more aggressively than Bitcoin last bull run. They won't outperform Bitcoin as much as they did last bull run, but it still has not yet begun. So that's what this means. Very, very special chart. This might be my favorite chart in crypto right now. And I've been analyzing it very well. I think 2 streams ago, I mentioned why I thought we needed a correction. If we want to review that, very important to look at this on the daily so you can see trend. So the reason why I was calling for a correction, well, this is actually the main chart why I knew Bitcoin was going to drop and why I made that price path at the beginning. Like, it was based off of this chart. Look. So Bitcoin dominance, the trend was beautiful. This is daily. Higher high, higher low, 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 higher high. And then, I mean, that's a beautiful trend. You can't do that in one breath. If a trend is longer than a breath, it's a good trend. And then it took how much out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It went almost to the 9th higher low back. What? And so the reason why I was so confident in calling for a move down after my target was hit, the top of the point of control, or that blue box, which I have there, is because altcoins were postured to outperform Bitcoin. So this is how I saw the future. I'm trying to explain it. This chart goes up in 2 ways, and it only goes down in one possible way. It can go up if Bitcoin crashes or corrects because altcoins go down faster than Bitcoin, thus Bitcoin outperforms it, and this chart goes up in dominance. Or a BTC-led rally. But I canceled that possibility, or I crossed it out, because altcoins were already outperforming Bitcoin and postured to continue outperforming Bitcoin if Bitcoin had a move past my target. So I was looking for a very weak higher high, which is what we got. So altcoins, had Bitcoin passed my target and I was wrong, altcoins would have gone up faster than Bitcoin. So that's not a possibility. So Bitcoin had, in order for this chart to go up, before it started going up, Bitcoin needed to crash or correct because of that logic, right? If Bitcoin had pumped past, altcoins would have continued outperforming it. Therefore, it only leaves room. So when you break trend that aggressively, you always get a lower high. It just always happens. There are almost no, actually on this very chart, there is one instance where it didn't happen hypocritically, but this chart is a little special. But an actual price, though, I mean, it's almost 100%. You'll get a lower high after taking out just tons of trend, all in one scoop. It's usually about at the same angle as all the other previous lower highs. You just extend it out, and it hits it down lower. But it always hits the same angle. or in the range of the same angle. So because it took all this out, and I was looking for a correction, days ago, because I knew it had to make this lower high. That's 2 streams ago, so not the 10th of December, but the stream before the 10th. And I was calling for a lower high, and I said it's not a question of if, it is a question of when. However, that's technically not true on this chart because, look, here, I mean, it didn't really get a lower high. So there is one exception to that. However, on price, though, the price of things, there are not exceptions. In the stock market, well, unless something dies, but there really aren't very many exceptions on things that don't end up dying. Okay. So that is Bitcoin. And why I feel that, now let's take this chart off. So now this layer is only, very useful for trying to really dial in. But in general terms, just take one last look at this. That is why this is my favorite chart in crypto. It gives us strong conviction of that this is going to be a great altcoin season. And it lets us know if we're going to have a Bitcoin crash before it ever happens. You're welcome. This chart says you're welcome. Not necessarily me being cocky, but this chart is like, you are welcome, and this is my favorite chart for now. Okay. Now, when it lies to me, for example, the tether dominance chart used to be what I really liked looking at, and it was my favorite chart for a while, but then it lied to me, and it did something it wasn't supposed to do, which had to do with Bitcoin being more bullish than what I expected off of its 15.5 lows, for sure. Okay, so how did I make my guess of Bitcoin should hit around 85K between mid-January and February 1st? And why is this methodology so important for you and your altcoins during a bull market? That's what I'm about ready to go over. So how I came up with this is what I feel you need this skill set. Like, you need to practice this, and you probably want to try it at least once a week as price keeps changing, what I'm about to show you. All right. And if you're new to crypto, like this, this is something you're going to want to remember. The 4-hour 200 EMA is the most badass EMA in crypto during a bull market, only during a bull market. So I'm going to do an MTF EMA indicator, which means multi-time frame, so that it'll stay there even if I go to the daily. So it's still the 4-hour 200 EMA on the daily chart. All right. That's not necessarily a skill set. You can do this on the 4-hour just using a normal EMA, but you need a 4-hour 200 EMA. So whenever your altcoins are below their 4-hour 200 EMA in a bull market is a generally good time to begin considering buying the dip. So in general, as a benchmark, this is a great benchmark. I'm telling you, please don't, if you're new to crypto, what I'm saying is so important. And this is just the very first part. It is your benchmark in a bull market. For if you are at good value, so imagine this keeps going like this. So good, am I at a good value for buying? Or if you hear a YouTuber talk about something and you put on the 4-hour 200 EMA and it looks like that way above it, like it is far from it, you want to wait. Especially if it's like double. I mean, that might be double. I don't know what that is, but no, that's only 30%. Oh, that's just Bitcoin. But on an altcoin, if an altcoin looked like this, that structure above, that would be double. And I can show you, if you don't believe me, I can show you an example here later if I remember. So if your altcoin looks like this and you measure, it will be much higher than what Bitcoin just read. It'd be maybe even 250% sometimes. So if your altcoin is way above relative to all the other times it was above, so relative to, just look left, look on the other, that way, look that way, then it doesn't matter what the YouTuber says. Like, you want to probably wait until it's closer to that line. Yeah, you could get one more pump on top, or even two, but still, in general, you are not at good value unless you are below that line. In a bull market. And so I looked at previous corrections used on this 4-hour chart. I technically could go to the daily here during a bull market only. And it really doesn't have the habit of going below the 4-hour 200 EMA and below an origin line if that origin line was relatively like kind of spacey away. It's not right next to the 4-hour 200 EMA. It just does. So these are my origin lines. It doesn't have the habit of doing that. So it's making me think that it makes me think that in addition to the idea that Bitcoin has been overly bullish this time around. It's not correcting as much as I've been thinking. It's just it's broken weekly trend and then dip and ripped from there, even though it had almost no chance of doing that historically. It only had done that one time ever. I mean, Bitcoin's been freakishly bullish to the ups, very, very resilient. And so if you look back in time, in its corrections, it typically will not pass that next line. It just really doesn't. So that's what I'm thinking, 85K. However, there are many indications that that there are good reasons for it to go below there. However, I mean, I'm kind of thinking it won't. Those two reasons combined, that's why I think that's my best guess. Not as big as a correction as what I would like. I really want it to go below there, but that's just what the crystal ball is telling me. And as a rule of thumb, just remember 4-hour 200 EMA is your benchmark. If your altcoin's below it, that's when you begin considering, hey, this is good value. If it's screaming above, then that is when you want to have caution and realize that is the definition of chasing green candles. Solana might actually be a good example. Oh, Solana's below it? Wow. Interesting. Good value. Good value. Even though it chopped around there forever. So technically, Solana's been underperforming. Wow. How far is it? It's already gone down 25%. Shit. I'm surprised to see it that much. So that means Bitcoin is much stronger than altcoins right now. See how Bitcoin's above its? Oh. And Solana's way below its orange line. Very interesting. All right, let's go to a more coin that moves even faster than that. Let's go to a mid cap. Oh, I got one. Here we go. Mover in the Polkadot ecosystem. All right, so that's the 4-hour 200 EMA. Okay. So back last year, see how it raced above? And because it got too high above, it needed to correct. it doesn't like to stretch that far away from it. Typically. Sometimes it does stretch even farther, but the farther away from that line relative to all the other times it's bumped above. So look, barely got above, a decent sized one, barely got above. It doesn't live much above that line. So if it's way above it and you hear a YouTuber talking about it and you don't know much about crypto, you realize, oh crap, this is not good value right now. Not good. And it is relative to what it's done on its chart. So it's not just the same percentage. So this time, I'm guessing that could be like 300% above. That's almost 600% above. But on Bitcoin, that would only be about 80% structurally looking the same because it's all relative to its previous performance on that line. And so when Mover went way, way, way above that line, this cat is just digging into me. What the heck? Come on, bub. I have a needy cat. Because it went so far above it like that, look how much it suffered. So the more exaggerated it is, 86% drop, going sideways for almost a year, 350 days sideways before it had this recent move up. Please remember that. 4-hour 200 EMA is your golden benchmark in a bull market for altcoins. All right. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. Wish I could keep this cat off of me, though. Jeez. But I don't get to spend a whole lot of time with him, so I will let him do his thing. Let's see here. Yeah, I can't cut. All right, but this is too much. You got to stay off of me now. Stay off. All right. No, buddy. Come on. Teach you who's boss right now, bud. All right. Let's take a look here. I had the prediction that once. So here's the 4-hour 200 EMA with NVIDIA. So the farther you are above that line, the more likely you are to come down and hit it. It's true for stocks too. Okay, mean reversion is kind of like the key idea there. Oh, I'm on the 1-hour chart. What am I smoking? So I had the theory before NVIDIA dropped that once I didn't guess when it would go below this line, but from its start of the pump in October of 2022, it has not been below that line. So I predicted that once it finally does go below the line without guessing when that would happen, that is when Bitcoin's going to start correcting. And so that also aligns with the idea that Bitcoin dominance needed a lower high. There's just so many things were telling us that Bitcoin's going to correct before it happened. Even though technically it's not a big correction yet, and I could end up being completely wrong. Bitcoin might surprise. So I need to be a little bit more careful with my confidence in that because this is not quite a correction yet. It is not, 85K is not in the bank at all. And I really hope, I think I was creating that perception. It is not in the bank, and I apologize for creating that perception. Yeah, Bitcoin could easily bounce off the bottom of the point of control of this 2-year channel and just make new highs. That easily could happen. I don't think it's the most likely thing to happen, but I mean, it's not even below its first point yet. I mean, this is the first obvious area for it to bullishly hit on a healthy and bullish pullback, and it hasn't even touched it yet. So this is definitely not much of a correction yet. Okay. Better timestamp that. That's important. It's easy to get too bearish when things are red. All right, let me scan through some of these questions. Got a chart for Hex? Okay. Maybe. I used to. Really? Oh, that's not the full history. All right. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It's actually in not bad posturing right now. It does give pretty much the whole history. That is fan-freaking-tastic. Oh, wow. Holy shit. That was the biggest move up in crypto. It went from 0001 and you actually had over a month to buy it there. Or a whole month to buy it there. Wow. That's insanity. Okay, so yeah, I can already see what it's doing. Oh wow, it's on a breakout. Look at this shit. Yeah, Hex has officially broken out. I did not think that that's what I was going to come on here and say. I guess I didn't need to make it that long. If it's breaking out, don't know. Usually I'll make it longer if it's going up. That's what she said. Okay. Okay, so you asked that question, and after I draw this, just realize what I'm doing for you is I'm giving you prescription glasses. All right? So price was fuzzy before. And as the optometrist asks, is it clearer now? What is it doing? Or what could it do? So what would make sense is that it fails. So clearly it's trying to get above this line, so we're going to zoom in here. So we understand the context of what we're getting ready to see. I'll go down to a smaller chart, maybe 8 hours or so. All right. It could easily fail this first time and dip down here. And if it does, where's an obvious spot for it to go? Just right here. Boom, boom. And it could hit as these two important lines cross. That would be a very normal looking target. You satisfy the notion of this channel line being respected and this line that everybody can see being respected. And that would be sometime around just before the new year is the timing on that. You can't time the market, particularly when your price is a derivative of Bitcoin price. But that's what this is suggesting. If it were its own coin without the effects of Bitcoin price also moving it around. The price of that, 0026 or so. sometime around the Christmas or the 25th of December. Yeah, it actually doesn't look bad. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you asked about Hex. The end is built into the beginning. Interesting. The end. That sounds like something out of the Matrix. I like that. The end is built into the beginning. No, what that reminds me of, it does kind of remind me of the Matrix, but it reminds me more of, and this is a gem on Netflix, everybody. Holy cow. Holy cow. Even though I think the first 2 episodes I felt were a little overly slow, or they're setting up the story, but I think it was the first 2. Yeah, I almost didn't even continue it. Called Dark. Reminds me of that. The beginning, the end is built into the beginning. Yeah. That's a, will you look at my lovely planet MLC? Yeah, so if you've been thinking about, I need to watch something different or, start something, and you haven't seen that, holy crap. It is dubbed from German, but it's done very, very exceptionally well, and it doesn't distract you. That was not a paid for sponsorship. MLC. Or a paid for advertisement. I need to see the market cap of this. So it's still a pretty small cap. Because just a while ago, the market cap was probably 5 million, I bet. So, I went to markets. Did it at market cap. So, let's go to 1 year. So here, look, 5 million. See how it says 5 million? So, I mean, it was a micro cap. This is a micro cap that has gone up. All right. The only place it really trades is MEXC. Nope, that might not be right. 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐸. That's actually a lot of volume. I've never heard of that. Interesting. Because swapping is not trading. All right. You could say it's bought and sold at more places, but it really only trades in 2. So this doesn't have to be done. Done with the move at all. It's still a small cap. It does not take much money to move a 30 million cap. I mean, if you have a small group of 10 people with 4 digits only a piece, I mean, you could easily move this another pump or 2. It doesn't take much money at all. So I would not get deterred in thinking it has to correct just because it's gone up a lot. People are not panic selling. Let me measure before I say that, but it doesn't. Well, that is 20%. Wow, how high did it go? It can't be much more than 7x, 8x. That's a 13. Okay. So when you go up 10x, if you can identify that this is the local high before correction, which I don't think you can guarantee that, because it might just make a higher low and go again, and maybe even one more time, bearish divergence, something like that, and then correct. So it is not guaranteed that this is from where it will correct. It could easily have 1 or 2 or 3 more left. But if this were the top of this general move, and you go get a higher low somewhere, I can already tell you, since it's roughly a 13x, this target should be somewhere around like 77%. Something to that effect. And kind of make it a natural angle. Something like that. That should be close. 77, 85, something like that. 77 to 82. Let's just call it that. Damn it, I was off. 68. Is that a 13x? Let me see. I haven't been wrong on that in a long time. Maybe I measured wrong. Hold on. That would make sense if it were a 6x. That is a freaking 12x. What? So this is too aggressive of an angle. I drew it too aggressively. So a higher low target would be here. That's how I messed up. That's a more natural angle. So that means that that was not a natural angle. I'm usually good at drawing natural angles. All right. In a natural area here, I usually get that right on the first try. There we go. That's 77 on the nose. So I drew too aggressive of a higher low. So this could easily go. But that's if this is from where it corrects, but that is not guaranteed. The rule of thumb that I'm telling you, if you go up 12x or 10x, you will correct around 77%, almost 100% of every time. But that doesn't mean that's from where it does it. It could do two more, and then the rule would actually state it has to go down 85% from there. And then it could just make higher highs after it does that. It could be very fast. It can do that in 4 weeks, then get about its business. And so that price target, 23 cents. Timing, somewhere close to the end of January. If that were to happen. However, this does look strong enough where it could do something like this, because it hasn't really performed too badly as Bitcoin's going down. This is pretty strong. So it might remain pretty strong and not go much below that point here where two important lines cross. So everybody's going to be able to connect that dot to that dot, and everybody's going to be seeing this horizontal. So where these cross is a very likely area. It would make absolute perfect sense. And yes, crypto does have the habit in moving in this fashion where you have a rising line and a horizontal. Where they meet is usually a natural. See how it's almost the same slope? That is not an accident. It is not an accident. It is just how that's just how crypto moves. Yeah. All right. And this would make a lot of sense. This would probably be my top guess because it looks strong. So it looks like it's only going to get about a 65% correction. If that's from where it corrects, which I don't even know that, it looks really strong. So my top two guesses here are that its correction goes down to 35 cents before higher highs because it's an aggressive higher low, or my second most likely guess is it's not even gonna, like, per this low, it's not looking to correct. It's just gonna make a jagged, like, stutter step before going. That could happen even if Bitcoin goes down. This looks like this move is really, whoever's buying doesn't look like they're getting scared. Whoever's buying is definitely not getting scared. So those are my top two price paths. I would say either a aggressive high, or it just keeps going even if Bitcoin goes down. And then the third most likely is the most natural. All right, so those are my three price paths for you in order of what I think is most likely. Just because I liked your username. All right, Cardingham, what's up? Between now and mid to late January, I'm 1x short, which means I'm almost 100% in cash. And I was before it dropped. I was like 2 days ago. Yeah. But that's my play. And during that time, during that time, I'm prepared to be wrong. All right, so 85K is not in the bank, which should be kind of like the theme of the second half of this stream. It is not this might not be an actual correction point, might be higher, and so I'm ready to be wrong. I'm poised because I think there's a lot of risk to upside. So I am my play is I am 1x short figuratively, or no, actually literally. I mean I'm technically 0.8 short, 0.8 short. So I'm flat in spot, and I have already put in my limit buys on the altcoins I'm looking to buy during this dip, just using its natural chart, looking for a aggressive higher low on Bitcoin, hits my target perfectly or goes under my target. My limit buys are already there in the event of all three. So some are up higher, some are down lower. And so that's sitting on cash flat, essentially. And I am very prepared to look for a much higher low on Bitcoin, say 96K. And I'm prepared to cancel those orders to free up my cash and then buy the dip there on altcoins. I am poised to do that, but I don't want to do that. I want Bitcoin to correct a lot more. And the reason why I'd want Bitcoin to correct a lot more, it's going to be so much better for this bull market. If Bitcoin doesn't correct here and it goes up to 120, even 140 potentially, but let's just start with 120, it's gonna greatly increase the chance that we won't have a 4-year cycle. Thus, it'll cut altcoin season way short. It increases the chance of that happening. Of it being over on July 1st, which actually is something I might show you. Well, no, that's no, I haven't shared that with my community yet, so no. I'm not giving that out for free on YouTube right now. Okay. Did I get liquidated? I am short, so no. Veracity? I can do veracity. All right, it's back in its value zone. So one of my VIPs on Discord, he has done very well on this just by coming on and asking me my thoughts, and he's made his own choices. But my main idea, I mean, way back like 6 months ago, this is June, July, all right, was yes, this is scary. So we should zoom out here a little bit. You're going below this line for the first time ever. Like, that's scary, yes. But my whole thesis was this yellow triangle, since it's its first time falling out, it shouldn't go below this green line. It just really shouldn't. And therefore, anywhere in this yellow triangle is good value. Like, later in the bull market, you will not regret having picked some up there. Mixed with the idea of becoming a seller, and once Bitcoin started flying up, member took profit and is sitting on the idea of, do I buy as it hits here or wait for a confirmed higher low? That's where I left off with him. And I think since that's past content, I could share this. It's like a week ago. But and I think what I suggested is, I couldn't tell Bitcoin was going to go down yet, but I thought whatever percentage chance at the time it gets here that he thought it would bounce is how much he would want to go in on how much more he wants to get back. So if, let's say somebody wanted $100, they wanted to buy $100 of veracity, If you think it's a 50-50 chance of bouncing, because when it hits, what is Bitcoin doing? So right now it doesn't look like a 50-50. But if at that time you think it's 50-50, then $50, and then hold 50 for the next, hold half for the next, for when you can confirm the next higher low, but only after it's confirmed. So it's already curling back up. So it is back in this yellow triangle. So I think, just in general terms, if you can get veracity in this yellow triangle in general, at the end of whatever we call a bull market, I don't think you would be able to regret that choice in general. Even if somebody got it now. Now, will you regret that choice if you do 10x long? Probably. I mean, just this move down would liquidate you. So there are ways to regret. That's shit. What I just drew is 30% down. You'd be liquidated 3 times over. You'd be liquidated on 4x. So if you try to do this on leverage, yes, you can that statement might not be true. But on spot, though, my whole idea is on spot, if somebody were to accumulate this coin in here, by the end of whatever we call a bull market, that will have looked like a very good choice. And I'm going to stick with that. What else? Shit. It looks like it wants to hit a horizontal here. Like, I'm envisioning this as a box, something like that, a base, and it looks like it wants to hit the top of the base, maybe. It's kind of what I'm feeling. Or maybe even here. Maybe just a triple low, 1, 2, 3, triple tap. That would make sense if this is like a 45% move. Ooh, it's 72. Ooh, that's deep. Yeah, the top of the base looks like a better target. It honestly looks kind of destined to hit close to there. Maybe here. No, I like it the other way. Yeah, I like that. So price targets, it really looks like it needs to touch this area to me. 0033. That's not much farther down, maybe another 20%, 27. It looks like it needs to touch that. Because it's not sticking this landing, right? So it's already gone below that. Well, it hasn't closed below it, so maybe it will. But if it doesn't stick that landing, I mean, I don't think this is strong enough support. It's got to go down to that horizontal. I mean, yeah, you got a little action support, resistance, support. I don't know. I just like this target better. It looks more natural. And so getting it down there versus where it is now, for example, let's say you wanted to be a seller no matter what, when it hit this 1/4 line, gets back into this channel, hits the 1/4 up line, something like this, at 16.5 cents. The profit from getting it now is 270%. But if you wait till down here, it's 420%. It's a big difference. Selling at the same spot. So just look at how, I mean, like, patience can pay. It can really pay off. However, mixing that with the idea, it is in the yellow triangle now, and the chance that one person would regret a spot purchase here, having sold near the end of what we call a bull market, I think that would end up looking like a great choice. Okay. I'll do Caspa, and then I'll jump off. Okay. Same thing. This is in a yellow triangle. Now, not as impressively low on its chart, though. Like, this is falling out of it, like, really high. All right, so it's not quite as, like, VRA is at a pretty, it's at a great value spot. If VRA ends up having a decent bull run or better, I mean, that's going to be a really good spot to have picked it up. But I don't know, but I'm not very, I don't know if I have great prospects for many coins that have already seen a bull market, because I'm damn near certain that the best ROIs in all of crypto, yet again for the third bull market in a row, will be coins that were born in a bear market or born near the top of the last cycle, particularly those. But just in general, born in a bear market. Not born in the USA. So I like that the weekly RSI has reset. So whenever an RSI, the bigger the time frame, the more value in the statement. So this is the weekly, like this is very valuable. When your RSI is above this red, you're essentially using gas. And this is where you go back to the gas. This is the gas station where you fill back up. So I like seeing that. That's good. It's still technically in higher low territory. It looks like it's been, not doing. Yeah, I mean, dang. You do have a higher high on RSI, so it took out that high. It's really going to be ready to go when this RSI, like, it gets over this point here. That's when you're going to have a breakout and price will accelerate. The weekly RSI on CASPA is very important right now. I mean, it's the shelf life of what I just said is probably 3 to 6 months. Maybe not. Hold on. Let me measure. Let me shut up and measure. Yeah, 3 to 6 months. If it goes below 10 cents, I will be buying CASPA. But I will do it to be a seller within like 45 days after. So I'm not going to like try to write it to the top and think it's going to get, 100x ROI, nothing like that. But the reason why is because it will get a slink. I'm telling you, what I'm saying is, if it goes like visibly below 10 cents, the likelihood of what I'm saying is very strong. Very, 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 very strong. It will probably like go above its high quickly. It will dip and rip. It will V-shape up. And the reason why I'm so confident in that statement is because I know how channels work. And it is not supposed to go below there before giving a hack at trying to touch that line. It's just not. I've seen so many thousands of these play out across hundreds of coins on many time frames. You can do the same thing on a 10-second chart, but instead of this being 2022, this is like an hour and a half ago, and it looks identical. Literally, like you can see the same rules apply on that chart. So under 10 cent Caspa is high value. And again, I personally would probably pick some up because I would be looking to sell into it scraping above this high here. It would probably start slowing down after that, but what else? Those are all my thoughts. And just as a reminder or just for a first time for anybody, if you see yellow triangles on my channel, I need you to remember, because I might not remember to say this every time and to be repetitive, but or to avoid being repetitive, but you cannot trust. So whatever TA you would normally do, whether that's based off of trend or interaction with an EMA or news, doesn't matter. Whatever analysis you apply to there, you have to tone down your confidence in that analysis because it's in a yellow triangle. Yellow triangles make price move more like a plastic bag floating around in a windy city alleyway between buildings. It'll just whip around and it looks chaotic. And so the way to put that into practice, so that's like the visual to remember. But to put that into practice is, yes, run your typical analysis, how you would do things, but lower your confidence in that analysis because it's hard to guess where that bag is going to whip. I'm telling you. However, that might seem slightly hypocritical because I am confident in the idea of if it goes below 10 cents where it's not supposed to, it should V-shape, right? That's just based off seeing thousands of channels play out. And technically that would be below the yellow triangle. And that's partly why it would have to slingshot back. So, that's Caspa. All right. All right, I'll do Cardano before I go. I see multiple people asking, and I've covered it quite a bit throughout. I mean, since for a long time. So let's do that. And then I'm going to go start a new show, I believe. Somebody recommended to me Chernobyl about I guess it's a TV miniseries, 10 episodes, something like that. I'm not into documentaries. I hope it's not a documentary. I don't even know what I'm getting into. I just trust my source. I mean, it needs to hit that angle. So, I mean, it could do it a few ways. It could bounce here and then dip and rip. Like and just kind of form a horizontal channel, then break out of the channel, hitting there. That makes sense. So it doesn't have to come down to touch it, but it looks like it needs to touch it in a more natural way. Something like that. Maybe 88, 89 cents. And that would be a nice natural slope down into it where they cross. Maybe 90. 90 would make sense. However, if Bitcoin gets the pullback that I'm thinking down to 85K, I would guess this will have corrected over 50%. So hopefully that's more than 50. No, it is 50. Well, I guess that makes sense. It could stay right around this, just a little bit below there, 86. So if Bitcoin goes down to 85K, this will be right at 85 cents. At the exact same time, it should be very, very, very close. And again, 85K is not in the bag. It is not guaranteed that we're going to get a big correction out of this, off of Bitcoin. Yeah, and if we get a surprise to the downside, I would really see that under 45 cent Cardano is The farther you go below 85 cents, the greater the likelihood of a V-shaped correction for a 2x, and that would still be a lower high. So it would probably, hold on, let me see. Yeah. Maybe like a 80% move up. Yeah, close to 2x. It would be a very quick move. So watch. If it went much below this point here of 85 cents, like this, then it would race up into a lower high territory like that. Nice natural angle. And it would have a greater likelihood of just doing it immediately quickly. And I was kind of guessing, just shooting from the hip, that'd be a 2x, maybe 80%. It's more than a 2x. It's a 2.6x into a lower high. So sub 85 cents is, I think, very strong value with a very good setup to be a seller quickly. Even if you don't give two shits about veracity. Like if you just remember, shit, like he said it was under 85 cents, it could, the farther below, I mean, it could be a nice, easy play for you. Even if you don't care about this coin, you just want a decent chance to, get good value and have a shot at doubling your money. That would be one thing to consider this Pokemon card. What else? You said other targets? I don't know. I don't really see this passing its previous all-time high. So from 85 cents up to there, I mean, that could be a 30x from that point, but I don't really see it getting above its all-time high. If it does, maybe, potentially a 2x, but I mean, I would be so this is my box for a 2x. So if it does a failure pattern above the previous all-time high, so it gets above but can't stay above, failure pattern, so I could see 85, but 85 would be the absolute most bullish, and that would be 100x from 85 cents. I just don't really see that happening, though. But it could. It could. If KDA, performs well and can say it has sponsorships and, get YouTubers to talk about it, it absolutely could happen. All right. That's getting late for me. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. Don't hesitate to share with friends who might be new to crypto. You just got Timified Worldwide. Peace.